Formica Group and James Young team up to install IdealEdge. IdealEdge adds a finished edge to Formica laminate countertops, islands, and work tables, so you can say goodbye to flat edges and brown seam lines. Today, I'm going to show Kay how to install Formica Group's IdealEdge on a kitchen island. Having the right tools is the key to a job done right. Now, IdealEdge has an 1.25 inch drop down, so your Formica laminate countertop should consist of a 3/4 inch substrate with a 1/2 inch build down. Like any home project, good prep is important, so we're going to start by truing up the edges. That means we're going to cut them so that they're straight. To do that, put your straight edge on the countertop. Then put a spacer next to the straight edge. Align your router with the spacer and the straight edge until the bit contacts the edge. Then clamp the straight edge down. Remove the spacer and use the router to take 1/8 inch off all around. The surface needs to be smooth and straight for IdealEdge to adhere properly. And it also needs to be clean. Here's a useful tip. Take a piece of IdealEdge and test it against the prep surface. If prepped properly, you'll have no gaps and no need for filler. Make sure you have the edge in the correct orientation. The bottom has a small lip on it. Next, measure the angle at each corner of the countertop so you can cut the IdealEdge to fit. Divide each angle by 2 to get the cut for each piece of IdealEdge. It's a good idea to start with one of the short sides because the length is more manageable. First, measure the length you're going to cut and cut the IdealEdge slightly longer than necessary. You'll trim it to its final dimension after fitting one end. Now cut the IdealEdge to the measured angle using the miter saw. Smooth it out with a disc sander and check the fit against a scrap piece of IdealEdge that's cut to the correct angle. Then cut the next edge to its measured angle. Smooth it out with the disc sander to fit. And again, check the fit.
How do I know the fit's okay?
All right, so we're flush over here on the top. Our scrap pieces are flush. Guess what? Now we're ready to make it stick. Fully coat the back of the IdealEdge with a PVA adhesive and make sure it's spread evenly. Then press it onto the countertop substrate. Use the adjoining pieces of IdealEdge to make sure it's lined up correctly. Then use polymer packing tape to tape it in place. Make sure you tape from the bottom up to set. If the tape is tight enough and you've used enough adhesive, the adhesive should seep out. Wipe off the adhesive with a damp rag or paper towel as you go. When you rub your fingernail across the top, you shouldn't feel a lip. The edge should look seamless and you should not see any brown lines. To cut the long edge, measure and make sure it extends about 2 inches beyond the end of the counter, so it's easier to work with. Then use the angle measurement for the adjoining piece. For longer pieces, use a clamp to feed one end through and hold it in place while you're working with the other end. Then mark the length on the other end to the width of a scrap of IdealEdge. Using your angle measurement, cut and sand both edges to fit flush with the IdealEdge on the short sides of the countertop. If everything lines up, fully coat the back of the edge with adhesive, like you did for the short side. Then tape tightly in place. You have about 3 to 5 minutes to get it right before it starts drying. Repeat these steps for the other sides. Now it's time to let it dry. Depending upon the humidity, your IdealEdge should be completely dry in about 6 hours. Formica Group recommends leaving the tape in place for about 12 hours to ensure the adhesive is completely dry. If your countertop is installed above a dishwasher, I recommend sealing the bottom with a waterproof sealant to protect against steam or moisture damage. With Formica brand laminate countertops and IdealEdge, you get the beautiful contemporary look of sophisticated, seamless edge that looks perfect from any angle.
I love it.
Find out more at Formica.com.